Hello, welcome. Um, Hopefully I did everything right. The stream is running. Uh, I believe we're here. All right, cool. So Vex said that Firefox, so he knows. All right, so welcome to episode. What is this? I guess this is officially episode 1 of Talkin Tanks. Since the last episode was episode 0. But welcome to our show. My name is Domosapien. With me is Commander AF and our guest for this evening, Firefox 4312. Hey, Israel, welcome. Blender, Firefox, yes, I will explain. Well, we will explain. So for those of you who don't know or weren't here for the last episode, which was quite a while ago, Talkin Tanks is going to be our being my and Commander AF's. I'm gesturing that way, but she's actually over here. It's going to be our new kind of podcast style interview show. And essentially what we're going to be doing is meeting with different noteworthy, interesting, talented, etc. members of our community, interviewing them, getting to know them a little bit better, and hopefully going over something interesting that they have to share with us. So our guest today, Firefox, is a very talented 3D render. I guess, would you call yourself a 3D render artist? I don't know what the technical term for that would be. Well, uh, yeah. So we're gonna call you the Blender guy. Okay. Okay. Um.
Make sure your desktop audio is on. There you go.
That's.
I believe you're good.
Are you sure? Because I didn't click anything yet.
Oh, hello.
Okay. Well, I guess it fixed itself. Can you guys please confirm? No, it went away. Tragic. Please help me. Can they hear you? Okay, everybody, can you guys hear Blender guy? Okay, no, it's back. Yeah, so when I closed it, it went away. It's not going to be a Domo officiated stream unless there are technical issues. So
I'm lucky if people can't actually hear me still. That's unfortunate.
Okay, how about now? Can you all say something again?
Yes, I'll say something.
Okay.
You know, this show is all about talking to good people doing cool things in the World
Okay.
of Tanks community. Welcome.
Awesome. Okay, they can hear you
apparently-
guys. Okay, perfect.
great.
Sorry, y'all.
Hola.
I am not an expert. This is my second time running a stream. So please bear with me. That said, glad it's working. So let's run it back a little bit. For everybody who didn't hear that, we're gonna call Firefox the Blender guy because that is probably the most appropriate term. Yes. Well, anyway, hopefully that was the last of the technical hiccups. Fingers crossed, but you know how it goes. Almost behind the wheel. Anyway, the drops command doesn't do anything because there are no drops because we're not playing World of Tanks today.
We're gonna be hanging out with Firefox, getting to know him. We're gonna get a little taste of the sort of designs he can make in Blender, and then at the very end, we're gonna do a little bit of a challenge, an exhibition match, so to speak, between Domo and Firefox. And Domo, I should have checked with you beforehand, but there was mention of a giveaway. Is that something we might be doing at the end of this episode?
Yeah, I think so. So
Okay.
what we thought was cool, would be cool, when Commander and I were thinking about how to kind of make the show to spice it up a little bit, make it interesting. What we like to do is basically towards the end of each Talkin Tanks episode, we want to have like a little challenge segment where we compete with our guest. And effectively, if the guest wins the challenge, then we do a giveaway for the channel, and everybody watching can. I believe the giveaway is going to be on Twitch because that's where our giveaway functionality is. but yeah, we'll have a giveaway if Firefox wins the challenge, and since he is going to be competing with me, I anticipate that he will. So stick around if you guys want to get in on that giveaway. And we'll be giving away a tier 8 premium tank. But yeah, so I
Why don't we
believe
dive right
that
in?
yeah, I believe that kind of wraps up our little intro segment here. So how we're gonna try to do this is basically section 1 is gonna be like interview section, and then section 2 will be some sort of like a practical demo. So in this case, Firefox is gonna be showing us some cool stuff on Blender, and we're gonna be asking questions and kind of picking his brain for tips and advice on folks who might be interested in getting involved with learning how to do 3D renders using Blender or do just tank renders in general. So hopefully it'll be interesting and cool. Stick around, and even if you are not entertained, tell me that it was entertaining, so I feel validated. But yeah, so do you guys want to go ahead and jump into some of the questions that we have prepared?
Yeah. I think we should start with some of the softball questions, not necessarily Blender related, but maybe getting to know Firefox a little bit. Firefox, I'm wondering, how long have you been playing World of Tanks?
As far as the exact date, I have zero idea. It was before. It was closed beta is when I started originally. I forget the exact date though, because I mean that's what almost 10 years ago. So
Okay, so for a long time. What keeps you coming back for more?
I have zero idea at this point. I haven't played a pub game in like 2 years.
Oh man,
I just play
there are a lot of people
competitive. So
who do that, where they'll just stick around strictly for the competitive content. And I think that's that's fine. You do your advances, do your clan wars, if you ever feel like it, ranked or whatever. But
apparently Commander has become pixelated according to the chat.
I do see a little bit of pixelation going on. We're gonna chalk that up to my internet being crap. Spectrum, fix my upload speed. My bitrate looks okay so far, so we're gonna try to power through. Hope it gets better.
It's a setup. It's so Domo looks better than me. Look at him. He's even wearing his green hat. So what color are your eyes? Blue or green? Because they are sparkling tonight.
My eyes are blue. Thank you. I have been complimented on my beautiful blue eyes before. Yes,
they are beautiful.
But yeah, I'm surprised it didn't chrome out my festive my Wakan Christmas beanie here, which I'm kind of stoked about. I guess it was just a bright shade of green where it didn't go away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you kind of doing me that solid and letting me steal the spotlight a little bit with my my striking piercing gaze, if you will. I like to think my eyes are kind of like Paul Hollywood from the Great British Baking Show, Great British Bake Off. You know, he's also got these piercing blue eyes, and I got that same intensity, I feel like. enough memeing. So next
Back
question.
To Firefox.
You're right, because this is not about my admittedly gorgeous eyes, but this is about our guests. So jumping back into it. So
it was great eyes too. Look, he's got 4 of them.
Yeah, they're adorable. He's got his little Christmas hat. So let's do another.
Well, I want to maybe. I mean, since Firefox couldn't quite articulate what keeps him coming back for more, I do know that you're in the playoffs of Clan Wars. Could you say that maybe your team is what's keeping you around, or the competition?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's a
trope. Where this is going.
Yeah, I know it's been a trope for a while that NA's dying, and it definitely feels like it on the higher end, because it's like the same bunch of people between different clans, just changing names. But I mean, that's really the only reason. It's just the higher end of advances, clan wars, etc. At this point.
Yeah, I know there's like a lot of former competitive players and stuff that are like really involved in the clan scene. But but I guess less so in random battles. And I guess to a degree, if you've been doing the same thing for going on 10 years, like I can see how you kind of gravitate
burn
towards. Well, yeah, or I was gonna say gravitate toward the parts that you enjoy, but yeah, you could put it that way. Hello.
Well, I mean,
hello.
after all, Firefox, the reason we're having you on is because you do make pretty cool stuff in Blender, making different styles and modeling different tanks.
Yeah, so maybe the creative passion kind of helps you keeps you
Yeah.
going too, right? But I guess that's a kind of a good segue into
Mhm.
like, what is it? I guess, was there anything that particularly motivated you to start dabbling in 3D modeling or 3D rendering? What kind of made you decide like, oh, I'm going to mess around with Blender and kind of get into this?
As far as like the start, like it originally didn't start with Blender. It started with actual like just 2D graphic design, so stuff like you do in Photoshop, etc. And then I was like, I think it was like, I forget what movie it was, but it was really good CG. I'm like, I wonder if I can do that to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, Blender is free, so cool, I don't have to buy. Because like 3ds Max, Maya, which are essentially the industry, Cinema 4D, which are essentially the industry standards. I mean, you're talking few like $60 to $70 a month for like with Octane Renderer, which is a high-end render program or add-on for them rather. Blender is free, so I was like, oh, I don't have to pay thousands of dollars a year to do this. So it's like, yeah, might as well just kind of get into it. I mean, like a lot of people, it started really basic, but like there are still people that are insanely better than me. But
I feel like that's
for a free program, and it's not that big. It's new ever since 2.8 with the new UI. It's a lot more like straightforward to use. It's a lot easier to get into, and you don't have that price bar that you have to pass to get into it.
I hear you. I kind of experienced, a similar barrier to entry with like music production software or DJ software. Like, you can find the free alternatives, and they might not be quite, as functional as the industry standard or whatever. But especially when you're just trying to get into something, it's great to have like an open source resource to be able to like see like, is this something that I want to keep pursuing or whatever. And then especially like if it's something that you're like, wow, I don't even really need the Maya or the 3D Max or whatever, like I can do just fine using Blender, then why bother spending extra on it? So yeah, totally agree. But I just wanted to touch back too on like, it's funny because you're like, oh, like, I'm not the best or whatever, and something that like I as an artist, since like I draw and I do graphic design, etc., I have experienced as well, is that like, typically everyone is their own biggest critic. So like we were going over a little like Blender demo a couple days ago when we were preparing for the stream, and you were like, oh no, it doesn't look good, like that's not, I don't want to do that, doesn't look good. I'm just like, dude, this all looks fantastic to me. So like, believe me, your standards are far above mine. So, I guess like in a way, like it's good to like reflect in that way and be like, yeah, maybe like I'm not where I want to be, but like looking back on where I started, like I have grown, so much. So I think like your work as well, like we've been talking about this 3D render stuff for like well over a year, probably going on 2 years now. So like I've just seen your work also progress over time, and hopefully we can take a look at some of your renders when we go into the little presentation segment. But yeah, like it's I guess I'm just trying to like pat you on the back here, like you're doing good, like by all means keep doing what you're doing, because like you got a knack for it, and you've made some really cool stuff.
No, I don't know. It's you probably, I mean, like you said, like you're always going to be your own biggest critic, and that goes for it, like especially with anything artistic. So
yeah, definitely. Commander, you want to grab the next question?
Yeah, sure. So I was actually curious, like I know that you've been playing World of Tanks for 10 years. How long have you been 3D modeling, and what is like one of the biggest I don't know if accomplishments is the right word, but like what is like like a project that you've worked on that you're really proud of?
Um, as far as 3D modeling goes, it's been like 2.5-ish
Okay.
years or so. Which compared to a lot of people, it's not a massive amount of time.
Yeah, two and a
It's
half is. I mean, it definitely isn't a massive a lot of time, but it's definitely enough to get your feet wet, right?
definitely. As far as best thing I've done, I don't. Since I had to redo a hard drive, I ended up losing the file, so I'd have to remake it. Um, and I have an image of it somewhere. I who knows where at this point, but it was essentially a photorealistic Earth, like proper atmosphere, proper cloud layer, proper like actual texturing of the Earth itself. Um, it wasn't the hardest, but it came out looking probably the nicest because it's a super iconic image. It's like just the top half of like the blue marble that you'd see like
Yeah.
NASA release photos of. It's a super iconic image. That was probably my favorite thing I've done, but by far it's not the technically hardest because it's pretty straightforward in the end.
So when you're like, when you're coming up with those standards of technically hardest and proper, like how are you actually learning like the proper technique? Are there resources or are there other channels or personalities that you're watching, other artists that you're watching work and learning from? Or is this kind of more just hands-on, you messing around with it until you like it?
A lot of it is trial and error.
Hmm.
I mean, there are like YouTube channels of people that do have like tutorials out there. Um, all to like varying degrees of like in depth to them. Um, like one of the biggest as far as I like consistently watch is Ian Hubbard. Um, but I mean, there are others. I mean, so there's a lot of resources. Blender has a massive wiki on their website, which in depth explains everything from what certain functions do what to like how like cycles, which is one of the rendering engines, how it works like in detail. So I mean, they have their all this massive. This is just a massive amount of information in the end. So it, if you know how to find what you're looking for, it's fairly easy to get into because you can find about any resource. I think Blender has their own subreddit as well, so there's a lot of like good helpful stuff you can find there. They do like a submission thing where it's like you submit your blends saying, "Hey, I can't do this. I'm trying to do this," and there's actually a community that will like download the blend files, go through it, try to like figure out what would work the best, and come back with replies like saying, "Hey, this is probably the easiest way to do it," etc. So I mean, there's a lot with the community involved with it as well. So there's definitely a lot of like support there as far as getting into it, where it shouldn't be too high of a bar. It just comes down to your creativity.
Yeah. So with Blender, there's obviously a lot you can do, and depending on your skill level, what would be like a good project for someone who is just learning Blender, or just wanting to get their start? Like, what would be a good start? Would it be creating a material, or actually um, like just a blank material, or like actually creating some sort of object from scratch?
It depends because so with Blender, there's actually like three major things you can do as far as it
Mhm.
goes. Um,
Which are?
you can do 2D, like so completely 2D, and it's essentially 2D and a 3D pipe. Um, so I mean, it's essentially would work like Photoshop to an extent. So like and you like short animated films like that are a few minutes. I mean, that are 2D. I mean, you can do them in Blender, but that's entirely different from like just regular 3D modeling. There's sculpting built into it. So I mean, it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish with it. Um, because what would work in say like a 3D space wouldn't necessarily work in a 2D space, and vice versa. So it really just depends on what you're trying to do. As far as entry goal is. Um, I think one of the more iconic ones for 3D modeling is like making a donut. I
Yeah.
think Blender Guru started that. It's like the most just as it's a primitive shape, so it's not too complicated of a shape, but it's like it's fairly basic, but there's enough technical skill in it that you're understanding the basics.
Right, because you're
So
not
I think
just
that's kind of
taking a sphere and slapping a texture on it. You have to do something to the model to get it to look like the donut, right?
but so
And the
you have
sprinkles and the frosting.
yeah, where it's gonna have an actual depth to it, so it's not like
Yeah.
completely smooth with it, where you want it to get raised up because frosting wouldn't be in line with the donut. So it's not a super complicated thing, but it's like what's kind of become like what a lot of beginners do because they find like Blender Guru stuff because it's a bigger channel, and this is kind of that's what he did for his like intro to Blender, like the
That's
basics. So
that's exactly what I was thinking of when I was like, what would be a good project? And I was like, would it be a donut? And I was like, don't say donut, don't say donut, just because when I was doing a little bit of research, that's exactly what I came across. I'm like, oh, it's a donut. That makes sense.
Yeah, I watched the same video, so I know what y'all are
but
talking about.
yeah, the good part about it is, I mean, you have since it's not too complex, but you're getting like the techniques in there. You're getting bump mapping, which is going to give you your actual like texturing, even though it's going to technically be flat, the way it's going to reflect light and all that, it's going to look more 3D. Sprinkles, I think he uses a particle system to do it. So you're going to mess a little bit with particles there on the surface. So you're getting kind of a lot of everything in the one, which is nice. And it's definitely probably actually a decent place to start. But again, it really just depends on what you want to do. Like,
Okay, so what if you want to make a tank? What skills do you think you would need basic skills just to make a basic tank?
that's I mean, you can make a tank straight out of primitives, so like cubes, spheres, which is kind of the way they did it with like the original Tron movie. It was all primitives. It's not going to be the most detailed thing, but you can because there's a full with edit mode, you have a full range of things from like where you can draw edges where you want them and just deform objects the shape you want them. Um, it's fairly easy to cut stuff out. So I mean, if you have a reference image and it's just taking the shapes, deforming them to the rough shape of what you're trying to make. I mean, it's gonna be a low poly basic tank at first because if you're brand new, you're not gonna be like really good with modeling. Um, but you'll get the rough shape, and then it's just over time, just kind of refining that ability to get like handrails that look good, the whole thing to be smooth, the right shape of everything. So it's not super hard, but it's not going to look amazing at first because it's going to be probably mostly primitives. So
So effectively, like the more, I guess, true to life you want to make the tank is the more complex and
Skill
like if
required.
essentially, yeah, like the more processes that you have to kind of learn how to do. Like for example, I remember we were looking at Char Futur, and it's got like the bullet holes in the or like I think it's a bullet hole like in the side of the ammo box, and there's like the little different faces going into where the little broken parts of metal. Like in my head, like drawing, making the ammo box would be substantially easier than going in and like modeling in the gap where like the shell went through or whatever. Is that would you say that's more or less accurate?
yeah, I see where you're going with it. I think like the Kron is actually a really good example though of that because the model itself is pretty straightforward, but I guess it does come down to the actual texture, and there's like impact shell holes on it from where just built into like the default skin for it,
Mm-hmm.
where rounds have obviously bounced off, but it's gouged out of the piece of the metal at the same time. So it's you can model that in 3D. You don't have to do it as a 2D texture.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where it's going to take a lot more practice, a lot more refinement,
Gotcha.
and ideally, if you have reference images, it's going to help a lot because you at least can kind of mm, um, over reference image, you can almost copy it. It's just getting it to look correct, I guess, is the best way to put it. Because
Gotcha.
you can look at something and be like, that feels a little off.
Yeah, it goes into uncanny valley, so to speak.
Yeah, where it looks right, but it feels off, and yeah, but that's gonna just come down to a lot more just using the program, getting used to everything,
I have a
et cetera, et cetera.
I don't want to derail you or anything, but 13 Disciple had a pretty cool question in chat, and I wanted to read it out to you. He's asking, Firefox, have you ever 3D printed something you made in Blender? And I guess my follow-up to that would be like, would that like getting something that you make 3D printed, would that like change the process or make it more difficult in any way, or can you just straight up like send the the blend to somebody who has a 3D printer and they can just fabricate it?
It would change the process. So I've never 3D printed anything I've made. Blender does have, instead of saving it as a blend file, you can export as a bunch of different file types. One of which is, I believe it's STL is what 3D printers use. Don't quote me on that because I've never actually used one. I mean, you could theoretically export it as the right file type, give it to someone, and they could print it. But the issue is, from what I understand with 3D printing, is you would actually have to go and model like support, because these tanks are hollow. Like it's just an empty space. You'd actually have to go model like support structures inside of it.
That makes sense.
So it doesn't actually collapse on itself while printing. You'd have to, like, with tracks and stuff like that, you'd have to model support structures to hold those in place that you'd have to carefully break off depending on what tank it is and how large of a scale you're doing it. That's not that difficult though, because that's essentially, you can just take a cube and just stretch it into a rectangle and essentially weld it into faces, and then it's really easy to break those pieces off once you 3D print it. So
for sure. Okay, so yeah, that's interesting, because I kind of thought about that as well. Like, it'd be cool to be able to make stuff and then have a friend with a 3D printer fabricate it. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, is that I actually have to put in the support structure, because the filament only like goes around in the shape that you have the outside. But if it's a big box and there's nothing inside, then it'll all just fall apart. So yeah, that's informative. 13 Disciple had a follow-up question, and he said, one more quick question: how does one make antenna physics in Blender? Asking for a friend, glares at WG.
There's a few ways. I mean, it's a physics sim in the end, which there's a few ways to do that. You can either use soft or hard bodies. There's a setting called dampness.
Oh, I see. You actually answered in chat.
I have it on my second monitor, so I'm reading it and trying to answer. But I guess I'll just explain it if people didn't see it. So essentially, what dampness is, it's just. Actually, I'm not I don't know a great way to explain it. If something has, say you make a soft body texture, like, I don't know, like a stick, and you want it to blow in the wind. If you crank dampness all the way to the max, it's going to be stiff. It's not going to move. Whereas if it's all the way down, it's just the whole thing is just gonna go like fall. Right. So it's just getting the right shape, put in a physics modifier on it, and just, that's where it's gonna come to a lot of trial and error, where you have to just dial in to get it to like to react realistically, because you don't want it to like just, like you said, almost like a piece of spaghetti. You don't want your antenna to be like that, but you don't want it to be like stiff, which is. But as far as like the game goes, I mean, it's a good reason. It's less taxing than the physics sims, so that's probably why they're like that. But it's actually fairly straightforward to do in Blender, because it's an entire physics tab. It's just give it a soft body or whatever, or a hard body, depending on how you want to do it.
All this talk, why don't we open up Blender and you could show us some things?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask too. Yeah, like, how are y'all feeling? Should we transition into the screen share here? So
I'm ready.
While we're talking about stuff, you can show us some cool stuff on Blender. Are y'all down with that?
Yeah. Chat, are you down with that?
Firefox, you good? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Blender guy?
Blender guy. Yeah.
I think you're gonna have to change your name in game to Blender Guy after this. Like, I mean, you know,
I don't have the gold to do that. I'm poor in game.
I mean, I will put a free name change towards that. But okay, let's like fingers crossed here that our little transition works.
And while we're transitioning, OG Atlas Hugged wants to know, what is your favorite tank to blend? He also has a couple of questions, but I think that's a good start.
One second, because I think we're gonna lose mics while I'm transitioning. So let me hit the transition and fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll be back in just a second.
Right.
Okay, so we're here. Hopefully chat can still hear us.
Hello,
Chat, can you still hear us?
Chat, let us know, please.
Yes.
Please respond. Okay, they can hear us. Awesome. So we've got Firefox's Blender up now. Firefox, your screen is sharing, so you know, be aware. But feel free to take it away. We can keep, you know, talking and asking questions. If you want to, I don't know what you'd like to. I don't know if you want to mess around with some materials first, or I don't know, maybe you have some cool screenshots of some of your work that you'd like to share. The floor is yours, so you know, by all means, feel free to take it away in that regard, and you know, we can keep chatting about stuff. Somebody Israel on YouTube had a kind of a good question for you. He's asking, do you think it's necessary for a 3D modeler or somebody who's learning how interested in either getting into 3D modeling to learn how to draw? Do you think it's a necessary or helpful skill, or would you say that they're fairly independent of one another?
Being artistic is definitely going to be helpful here, because I mean, that's what you're making in the end. As far as drawing, you don't necessarily. I'm a terrible drawer. Don't ask me to draw anything. No, bad idea. So it's not necessary, but like I said, Blender does allow 2D animations, stuff like that. So I mean, that is where you'd be hand drawn most of your stuff. Or if you're, I'm sure there's some connection as far as sculpting and drawing goes. But I can't draw to save my life, so it's not necessarily a skill you need. It can definitely help, though. I can see where it would definitely help, because there's a bunch of ways to actually texture things. Where one of them is texture painting, so you which would kind of act like Photoshop to an extent. I don't do any of that because I'm bad at it. But it can definitely help. It wouldn't be like number one, oh, you should learn this first or not.
Gotcha. So we got some requests for you real quick in chat.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Voss said to tell Firefox to show his procedural sky thing.
I don't know which one he's. I don't have a procedural sky. I use HDR skies for everything, so I'm not sure.
Gotcha.
So actually,
I don't know what he's talking about. So he's gonna have to.
So real quick, Firefox, why don't you break down what is procedural, what is HDR, what is primitives? You're using some vocabulary here that maybe the audience doesn't know, but it might be like a good foundation for getting the language for 3D modeling.
Yeah, that's a great question.
So primitives are just your basic shapes. So cubes, spheres, cylinders, etc. Basic geometric shapes. Like if you go watch the original Tron movie, for example, which is one of the first movies to use a lot of CG. Everything was made out of primitives. Like, sure, you have the light cycle, but it's essentially just a circle with another circle cut out of it on the side. So it's all made with primitives, or a sphere rather, with a sphere cut out on the side on a circle. So that's what I mean by primitives. It's just like if you wanted a cube, there's a cube.
Okay.
Or if you want a sphere, you have a sphere.
So
this is what I'm kind of talking about when I say stuff like that.
When I remember you were showing us like how procedural material, how you work with like procedurally generated materials on like a sphere, for example. Somebody was talking about the amount of vertices on a sphere that you had up earlier, but could you maybe speak to that a little bit about like it's kind of interesting on how, you know, the different amounts of was I think vertices and polygons, or just the amount of faces on a sphere, and how that kind of affects the quality of your render, because I know that was kind of interesting to learn about.
Yeah. So if you actually look, and I have the pop-up menu up. I don't know if the text is actually readable in the stream, but there's two versions of spheres. There's a UV sphere and an ICO sphere. Actually, I'll pull up both real quick, just side by side. They're fairly different. I mean, they're both rough shapes of spheres, but they are fairly different. The big one though is if you look at the faces between them, one is squares, one is triangles, which does make a fairly big difference, because as far as triangles go, I mean, it can take up double the space as you're essentially cutting a square in half, but it gets a lot more accurate as far as oh, I see what Voss said. Okay, I can show that. But cool. Yeah, it just ends up being a lot more accurate. I just use this, like a lot of people do. I use a sphere to like throw materials on, because it's just an easy shape to work with. It's like, all right. As far as the like vertices go, I don't use UV spheres anymore. I've gotten the ICO spheres, so I'm actually going to delete that, because it's already triangle face, so I don't have to mess with it too much. But you're essentially just subdividing it, which is making a lot more faces on it. So like each of these triangle faces is now cut 10 ways. Which if you actually look at the vertice count, it goes from 162 to 4,842. So you're adding a lot more vertices, a lot more faces.
So I remember it was the last time you were showing me this. Oh, there it goes. Okay, I was gonna say, like,
Yeah.
I see all the extra triangles on it, but it didn't smooth it out. Is there something you have to activate an input to smooth it, or?
Yeah, there's in the subdivision, there's a smoothness, so you can
Okay.
smooth things out.
Gotcha.
So you can see as I smooth it out, it gets progressively more smooth. And you can shade it smooth after you can just right click and shade it smooth after the fact. But it
Gotcha.
ends up being a lot more smooth of a shape with less. I mean, you can do this with a UV sphere, but this actually ends up with less overall faces.
Gotcha.
Because they're bigger triangles to start with, where a UV sphere is a lot of smaller squares. I mean, they'll both get. You're not going to be able to tell it's not a smooth shape or not. But this is definitely less taxing as far as shapes go.
Gotcha.
So
actually, just to recap for people who are filtering into chat late. So what we're doing today is we're having our Talkin Tanks show, and Talkin Tanks is not going to be a gameplay stream primarily. It is a podcast style talk show where we interview different interesting members of the community who either have something cool to teach us about or to share with us. And Firefox, our guest today, he makes a lot of really cool high resolution, like really neat 3D renders of tanks from the game, and usually does like a cool reskin or something like that. So we thought it'd be cool to have him on and kind of show us a little bit about, you know, what he does to make these renders, and share some resources with folks who might be interested in kind of getting into this. The program that he's working with is Blender. It's a free open source 3D modeling / rendering program that you can use, and a lot of people use it to get started. So just to kind of recap, that's what we're doing here. And right now we're looking at Firefox's screen, and he's kind of explaining a little bit about the different. It's such a big concept that it's hard to really articulate in a short amount of time. But we're just kind of trying to do like a little top level overview and show off some neat things that you might be able to do with Blender, and kind of go over some of his work.
All right.
Sorry, this is the thing. Let's bring it back.
This is the thing Voss or Vesk, or whatever he wants to be called now, was talking about. I'm just gonna. The reason you see nothing is I'm just not in a rendered view. I'm just gonna set all the colors to straight white with the same mix.
And this is
A little bit
procedurally
lighter.
generated?
Yeah, this is entirely procedural. It's just taking. There we go.
Yeah, it looks really neat.
These are all the same, just colors in the end. Like say you wanted to mix colors, like say, I'm just gonna pick 3 random colors, whatever.
That's awesome.
But
So this
I mean,
might
it's
be-
procedural. You can mix everything, et cetera, et cetera.
maybe this would be a kind of a good segue into kind of talking about what exactly procedurally generated I guess procedurally generated textures are in this application, and then kind of what the difference between like something like this and was it a PB I think it was PBR texture,
PBR.
like a PBR texture would be, because I know when we were talking about this before, it was some pretty interesting stuff to see, kind of mess around with the different parameters. So maybe folks would like to hear about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I guess I'll actually just head on PBR first because it's not really procedural. So PBR stands for physical based rendering. Essentially, it's like if you 3D scanned an item and turned it into a texture. So if you like 3D scanned a rock or a group of rocks or whatever have you, and you I don't do any of this stuff, but you like I think it's CCO Textures is a website. They're all Creative Commons, so they're all free to use for whatever purpose you want. They're just a bunch of physical based rendering it, which is essentially you're just taking a shape and slapping on image textures.
Those are basically like just like really high resolution photos.
Essentially, I think there's a bunch of different resolutions you can download them in. I think they go up to some of them go up to 16K.
Wow.
So I mean,
Wow.
you're never gonna
Honestly,
need a
that's
16K
more
image.
than any of my displays can render.
So could you use a PBR material to achieve a similar outcome to a procedural one? Like, would you try to make a tank with a PBR or a procedural material? Or like, do you usually just stick to the procedural?
You could use a PBR material to like skin a tank. But with all the little just bits and pieces on a tank, like handrails, axes, bags, boxes, etc. Um, PBR materials can kind of get a little bit warped on it. It's not that bad to fix though. You just have to. You're essentially reassigning faces and scaling everything to fit. It's just a lot more work versus like something that's procedural where it doesn't care what the shape is.
Does the work pay off in the end though? Like, do you get a better result if you just spend a lot of time working with the PBR, or do you just think it's better to just start with the procedural because it's a little bit more malleable and um, you're working smarter, not harder?
Um, it can look better. It can also not look better. It really that just comes down to like if you were to compare the two, because you don't actually have to make a texture. You're essentially just mapping it properly with a PBR material. Whereas something that's procedural, you're making, so it's really how much effort you put into making it to look as photoreal as possible. Um, for it to because I mean PBR materials are photo scanned objects, so I mean it is photoreal. Like you're not going to get around that fact. So it's just really how much effort you put in the actual like creation of um a procedural texture.
So if I understand correctly, when you're working with a PBR file or a PBR texture, you could theoretically achieve a really high quality result, but since it's not meant to fit on all of the different little shapes that are on the tank, you have to do more individual finagling or tweaking with each one, about like to make that texture fit that shape. Is that fair to say?
Basically, whereas something that's procedural, it doesn't care about the shape. It's like, well, here are all the faces. I'm
Gotcha.
just gonna fit.
So to kind of
so-
answer, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm seeing this come up a lot in chat, and I just want to clarify, folks. In order for Twitch drops to function, the channel needs to actively be playing the game. And we're not playing tonight, so if you came here for drops, I just don't want you to waste your time. Pop open, like, by all means, stick around and come watch our stream, but maybe pop open someone else's stream who's playing tanks and has drops going, because we're not playing tonight, so we're not going to have the drops active on this channel tonight, unless I'm horribly wrong, but I don't think I am. So that said, like, no drops here tonight. Make sure you watch someone else at the same time who's actually streaming tanks, if you want to get drops, because they're not gonna work on this channel tonight. Sorry, had to soapbox a little bit.
Thanks, Domo. I was like so lost. I'm like, why does everyone keep talking about drops?
Question for you, Firefox. Somebody's asking how can people see some of your renders? Do you have like maybe a Twitter page or anything like that where they can check out some of your work, or should they join the Discord and pop into the Creative Corner channel to see some of your stuff?
I post most of I post a lot of stuff in the, not as much recently actually. Mostly I don't have like social media or anything like that I post to, so like Creation Corner and the WADA Discord's probably the best. You can just search by my name in the channel and just has image, and you'll find like a range of stuff there.
So if someone wants to 3D model like Firefox, do you have templates that they can use?
When you say what do you exactly do you mean by templates?
I don't know. Is there some sort of recipe or like I'm not entirely sure. Maybe templates isn't a thing you can do in Blender, but is there something that like do you have like access to maybe some of the procedurals that you've created that others can use on tanks? Or
I
is
see.
there... Yeah, I don't know
I don't
the
have
word,
anything.
I guess.
I know what you're talking about. I don't have anything like that. I would have to do it after the stream. But I should be able to like, essentially just go through a bunch of like tech. I can probably go through a bunch of textures, be like, okay, and
yeah, I mean, if you're willing.
What I can do is I can essentially put them on a sphere. And just save all the textures into just like a blend file. I can give that out, and then all you have to do is just pull the texture from the file, which is actually pretty straightforward to do in Blender. Which I can actually show in stream real quick. Like,
yeah.
So under File, there's a section called Append. So if I say go to D drive, that's like the material I use for I'll use this one. But you just go to Append, you go find the blend file, and then you double click it. You have a bunch of options. One of the folders is called Materials. And you can just actually just pull the material straight out. This is actually that one. Yeah, I'm gonna do this just so it can be seen better.
Are you gonna make a tank right now?
No, I'm swapping this light.
Not excited. It's hot pink.
Yeah, because there's no image file there. But yeah, you can essentially just go pull a material out and use it. I have a master light, like over here's another one.
So
you can just essentially go pull materials pretty easily that way.
And then they can mess around with the values for, since most of them are going to be procedural, like maybe, you know, tweak the colors or the size of the splotches or whatever. Maybe you could kind of show a little bit of a demo of like it. I know that what you've got down there, that's Node Wrangler, right? And that's a plugin for Blender?
It's not a plugin. This is by default. So Node Wrangler is actually I mean, there's a tab off to the side. So you can click the buttons, but it essentially has hotkeys for it. It's just like things that essentially should have been by default but weren't. So it's kind of quality of life change. Like if you
So,
want to,
I guess I'm really curious. Once you got the primitive shape, so you got your sphere, and you got the procedural, the material on it. When does this actually start turning into something? Like, more than just the sphere with the material on it.
So what I actually I use the tank models from the game because it saves a. I don't want to go model every tank by hand.
Yeah, work smarter, not harder, right?
Yeah, that's the case with that. There's a few ways. The way I do it, I don't know if the plugin still exists or not, where you can download it.
But do you have it on your
the tank
computer
exporter
locally?
plugin.
I have it locally.
Okay.
I've had it for a while, which is why I still have this disgusting version of Blender installed, which stream will see shortly. It looks terrible.
You know,
There's
that
the
reminds
tank.
me of like iMovie. I'm back on like the colored like the colored plastic iMacs. I remember we used to use iMovie, and just the visuals look a lot like that. Remind me of that like Mac style. So random point. I was going somewhere with this, but I kind of lost my train of thought. So please continue.
Tomo.
Oh, I just wanted to point out. I remember now.
Stream can see how ugly this is compared to like
Yeah.
the updated version. Vesk said it. It's a tool. It's on the 1NA forums. I think if you just Google "Roll the Tanks tank exporter," you'll find the forum thing.
Right. So if you don't want to use this old hideous version of Blender and you want to use the newest version, you can still use the tank exporter utility instead of this plugin that only works with the old version of Blender.
Yep. And I have not used the tank exporter. I believe it pulls as an FBX file, which is meant for 3ds Max, which thankfully Blender can import and use those files, so there shouldn't be any issues there. And you can actually export if you want to like actually turn it into like a remodel, like as a local mod or whatever, and put it back in the game. You can actually export back to the game from the program itself, so you can actually change appearances, stuff like that, the way you want them. I haven't bothered with it because I don't actually intend to do anything like that. I just make images, so I just don't have any need for the ability to put it back into the game. I think it's the person who made it. His name is Coffee. It's fairly up to date. I don't know when the last update on it was. But it can pull the files. You can then import them into like Blender. Do what you want, then export them back.
Gotcha.
But it has its own steps. The way I do it, I'm just pulling the model and I'm saving it as a blend file natively, opening it in a new version of Blender, and actually just because it does weird things with save files between the two versions, I'm just copy pasting the actual tank itself from the new version to the or from the save to a brand new save, just to avoid oddities of UI bugs, stuff like that from old to new. But yeah, it just there's a few ways to do it. Tank export is probably the easiest because it's still updated. This isn't.
Voss
now
was
that
saying,
we have the
sorry, go ahead, Commander.
I was going to say, now that we have the tank on the screen, can you start like applying a material to it?
I can. I'm not going to do it in the old version. Import everything to like I do everything in the newer version because it's just more user friendly.
No worries.
Updated.
Do what you gotta do. I just know it was really cool when you were showing us like changing the different procedural values for a procedural texture on a model. That was really interesting to see the different kind of parameters that you can change and just how drastic the impact of that is on the overall kind of the appearance of the material. And I just wanted to also point out, Vexed Voss, Voss, he said that Autodesk FBX converter is needed to import the tank exporter files into Blender.
You can.
I don't know if that's. I know nothing about this, so I'm just relaying the message.
I don't think it's needed explicitly. Like I said, I've not used the program. I don't think it's needed explicitly to import, but I bet it's using an older version of an XVX file that Blender doesn't technically support anymore because it's an outdated version of FBX. So Autodesk has a free converter. It essentially can convert FBX files between different iterations of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's just not a match in FBX, then you would essentially just have to go convert it to the right version, pull it in, export it, and then convert it back. So it's an extra step, but that's a free program Autodesk has.
Mm-hmm.
So
Gotcha.
It shouldn't be too bad to do.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this is, I mean, trial and error is going to be heavily involved in this process in general. So a little bit of finagling should be fairly easy to figure out with the exporter.
Yeah, there's more steps with the tank exporter, but it's, I think, the only thing that's reliably up to date, so it might be the only option. If you can find the old add-on for an old version of Blender and you're fine with doing it the scuffed way I do it, then I mean that will work just as well. Because I mean, like I pulled this from the old version of Blender. I essentially saved it as a blend file, reopened that file in the new version, which I'm not even on the newest version. I'm still in the 2.9 beta. I think it's 2.9 something out right now. I think 9.2 is stable, but I import it. I then just copy paste it from the blend file to a brand new file, just because it does weird things to the UI. So
slap some paint on that tank.
this actually has the material I was showing on the sphere on it.
It does. It's like invisible ink.
Yeah, okay.
It was just
there it
so
is.
there's a bunch of different views. So you have solid view, which is just, it's not showing texturing, it's not showing anything else. It's just showing the physical objects, which is good for when you're actually building things. You have material preview, which is what you'd expect. It's a preview. It's not going to be as high quality. Some things just won't work because it's not properly ray tracing. So like glass is going to look really funky or anything like that. And then you have a wireframe mode, which just shows you the wireframe. And then you have actual rendered. This is essentially just a render preview. You can change the sample count as high as you want it, as low as you want it. It's entirely based on how good your computer is and how like detailed you want the preview to be in cycles. So that's just, you're gonna have to trial and error and see like what works best for you, where you're getting the most detail in a reasonable time.
And basically, increasing the amount of samples will it will make it look more true to what the actual render is going to look like, compared to the preview is going to have a lot of noise on it, and all the ray tracing and the lighting might not be quite up to snuff. Is that right?
Right. So what I actually do now in Viewport, because they've added it, it was added in an older version. It was, I think, 2.83. It's open image denoise. It's actually a really nice denoiser. You can actually run it in the viewport now, which is great, ever since 2.9. So it does actually remove a lot of the noise. Like, I'll let this get up to sample count again. But when it's actually up to sample count,
instantly looks
you'll notice like
it's like smoothing out before our eyes.
Yeah, it smooths out. If I turn it off and just let it get the sample count, I mean, you're gonna see a bunch of like random orange pixels on edges, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, are those supposed to be there? Which, at a really high sample count, you're not gonna see those. It's gonna fix that, but like it's
Mhm.
lower the samples, but it does a really good job of actually like removing the noise. But it's gonna be like a little bit smooth and wonky because it's trying to fix it. It's not perfect, but
So
it's just good for previewing.
I want
what do
to.
you call this look?
This was originally the attempt of making the Wargaming
Yeah, the
Fest
WG
camo look
Fest, right?
better.
Yeah.
The one
Oh.
that no one likes because it was just flat and good.
Is that the
Not
one
the
that
great.
reminds me of Hot Cheetos? I think I was playing with Tragic the other day and it made me really hungry.
I'm not. It's the whatever the one was like attempting to be like a lava cracking through rocks.
I think that's the one.
But it's because it was done, all those are done 2D. They're just flat and really muted. And you don't get like a good amount of contrast. So this was like I wouldn't even consider this like done. I'm sure there's more to tweak. Like actually put in like emblems and stuff like that on it. But I mean, this was the start of trying to make that like look better.
So
Um,
when we were going over this, I remember you were, because this is a procedural material, right? Could you kind of mess around with some of the different parameters so people can kind of see, I guess, how versatile working with excuse me, with procedural materials is, and just kind of, I think that really helps illustrate what the advantage of doing something like that is.
yeah. So this bottom section that I have highlighted down here, uh, this is essentially like just kind of fake subsurface scattering on its own. So I'm not even gonna mess with that because it's like it's not gonna make a noticeable difference on anything. So
Mhm.
I'm just gonna ignore those boxes, pretend they don't exist. Um, the rest of it, I mean, it is procedural, like you said. So um, I have an emission shader. That's actually what's controlling the coloring on it. Because it is an emission shader, they do emit light. I can't really see it in this because there's nothing for it to
Yeah,
light up.
there's no reference for the lighting. That makes
Um,
sense.
and I'm using a fairly bright HDRI as the background, so it's going to drown out a light. It's like trying to look at see if a flashlight is on in broad daylight. It's
Yeah.
really hard if you're any distance away from it. But I mean, colors complete. You have a full RGB color wheel, so I mean, you can change it to whatever color you want. It's just only going to actually be changing um, where it's actually cracked. So that's entirely up to you what you want to do for it.
And you can also
Um,
you can change the size and the position of the cracks as well, right?
yeah. So what's this principle right here is actually just determining like how the material is going to look physically and nothing else. So like how metallic it's going to be, how rough it's going to be, so how much of it's actually going to reflect light or not. So that's all that's doing. As far as the actual like cracks in the rock, it comes down to essentially these three boxes. Um, so you have noise texture. Noise is just random shapes, or not shapes, like random like spots in a model.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be what's the word I'm looking for? It's just going to randomize it.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, what it's doing is it's controlling how in this case the green is shaped, and then there's a color ramp, black and white, which is actually determining how much. It's essentially controlling how much of it is showing. So if I like crank up, in this case, the black all the way up, or even slightly up,
Mm-hmm.
there's no more like lighting on it.
Yeah.
It's just a very dull color. But you still get like, because of the original 5 boxes at the bottom, you still get like this nice like hue to it. Like there should be lighting there. If you pull it the other way, I mean, it goes very heavily in the other direction.
Interesting.
But it's entirely procedural, so I mean, there is this fine line towards the middle for it of how much you want to show, and then as far as actual shaping stuff like that goes, I mean that's all controlled by the two noise textures. So the scale, the smaller the number, the bigger, or the closer to 0, the bigger rather. So this is 3.4, if I brought up 10, you'll notice is a lot more. When you'll see a lot more noise, but there's a lot more green spread evenly.
Mm-hmm.
If I brought them both up, say, quite high, instead of these like really crisp lines you get, it's a lot more spread out.
So I think it's kind of cool to just think about, like, or I guess, you know, it makes you aware of the fact that, like, these aren't like lines that someone went and drew in Photoshop and then slapped on the tank or whatever. Like, this is all being generated by the algorithm in Blender, based on the values and like the logic tree that you're assigning to it. I don't know if that's like a fair assessment of what, like, a procedural. All right. Which
yeah, and then
that gives you like a lot
mean,
of things that you can do to like really fine tune, you know, what your end product is going to look like.
Yeah, a really good, because it's more than just scale. You can mess with the distortion of how distorted the noise is going to be. Like say I just I'll make a noise. If I just make a noise texture on its own and plug it into the output, can I actually plug the color in? That'd be better because it's gonna be easier to see. This is essentially what this noise looks like.
Underneath all the other stuff, effectively.
Yeah, so this is what it's trying to put out as a noise texture. So like the smaller one is or bigger one's like 4.5. I think it's 0.833 and 0.5 distortion. Yeah, I'll zoom in. So
yeah, so it's.
can I actually bump this contrast up so it's easier to see?
While you're working on that, I do want to. I know. I just want to make sure we're aware of time, because I know you mentioned you might have a time constraint.
I should be good.
Okay, I just want to make sure we have,
like,
you know, enough time to
10,
do our
15, yeah.
little challenge
I
segment.
think this might be a good segue into that,
Okay, so
because he's giving away all the secrets here.
so let's do this, because the like 3 cups of coffee I had today are still catching up to me. I need to go tinkle real quick. I'm gonna use a little tanker's room, and then I will be right back. So
You got nervous. A challenge coming though.
Yeah, exactly. It's, you know, I gotta prepare myself mentally for the challenge
And physically.
TMI. I'm sorry, you know, this is how we roll here.
Go
you know,
on.
it's just organic, it's natural, it's the casual format. All right. No, but yeah, I'll be right back. Y'all take it away.
Well, I still have an outstanding question from OG Atlas Hugged, who is wondering, what is your favorite tank to model or blend?
It changes, honestly. People are gonna dislike me for saying this because people don't like it, but EPR has actually been one of the funner ones to mess with. I know people don't like the tank, or if they want to consider it a tank or not, but I mean it's one of the funner ones.
What makes it so fun?
It's just shape-wise of how it's made that works. I mean I guess it's the Basante C45 now.
Yep, the new one.
I have it saved as the Progetto 71 still because that was the original name.
Yep.
That's a good one, fun one to work with. The Char. I saw that save this project. Yeah, I saw that save this project for 1.
Can you pull any of those up? Show us the work you've done on them.
I don't think I have anything saved on any of them.
So, like, when you're you know, creating these tanks, you don't save your work?
I do. I don't think have any like image, like full blown renders of them saved. That's the thing. That's just like I'll render it, be like, all right, it looks good, and just because I mean, a full PNG, it's like 70 meg an image, so I don't want to save
Okay.
like hundreds of those because that's a lot of space. And I don't
So do
have
you
an
have
extra hard
anything
drive.
that's fully rendered that we could see?
Where's my there it
And
is.
if you want, I can pop off the screen share real quick if you want to dig around in some folders to pull up screenshots.
Welcome
I can
back,
pull
Doma.
or yeah, welcome back. So this
Okay,
was
cool. Oh yeah, I'm back
yeah.
by the way.
Oh,
That looks super nice.
This is essentially that same like Wargy for Gaming Fest, like
mm-hmm.
Oh,
I
the
see
nice,
it.
nice
try to
pink
do better.
tail.
I did it in purple because I couldn't think of a color to do, so I just asked I think it was what an A. I'm like, hey, what color? And someone said amethyst. I'm like, close enough to amethyst. But I mean, that was this.
I know
This
I
is
still
with
have
no composite.
that forum signature of that Udez with the camo you made for me.
That
Very
was
cool.
like an old. That was me. I did that in GIMP, so I rendered it out, but I did all the work for that in GIMP technically.
Oh.
But I mean, there's no compositing is the thing, because Cycles is super unbiased. So a lot of the stuff, like if you want it to like glow, etc., like it's actual like some superheated liquid under it. I mean, you're gonna have to do that, and you're gonna have to composite that in the end. So I'm still messing around with Bloom to get settings right. I think this is the good one.
Do you have any others on your computer?
I think
Any
this is
other?
not
Ooh,
nothing with Bloom, but you can.
that looks like it's illuminated from the inside out.
Yeah. So what ends up happening because I had the composite image ended up darker, so I'm still messing with settings to find the right balance. But you actually get the glow from where the colors should be.
So you don't have the light source washing out the underglow from the
Right.
texture, essentially.
If I go, yeah, like that has Bloom, like you can see. I think these, yeah, this is side by side cool.
Cool.
Like this one's very. I mean, you can tell the color, but it's very muted. But it, as a whole, it's overall brighter than this, which has the layer of bloom on it, but it is quite a bit darker on the base image because of it. Because like I said, Cycles, it's unbiased, so it doesn't actually have stuff like bloom built into it, so you have to do it in post. So just finding the right balance. So that's going to be a lot of trial and error to get to like where it looks good. And it's also I'm also making it harder because, like I said earlier, I'm using a really bright HDRI. So
You got some
it kind of
fans of this skin, by the way. People are saying they want it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what? So what are you doing with this? Is this a wallpaper? Is that why you made it?
I just made it for fun.
Just made it for fun. But could it be a wallpaper or
I mean, I can render out 4K 1080p. It'd be a big image file.
I mean, that honestly might
so it's not compressed.
might be a good segue because I was gonna say what we do for the challenge today. You know, maybe I know we talked about this a little bit, but maybe we could you know, if the finished products looks good and people like it, you know, maybe you could share like a full render with us later on, and we could post it to the forums or Discord or something so people can get like a cool you know, tanks themed wallpaper.
Yeah, I could do something like that.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome.
So do you guys want to segue into the challenge?
Let's segue away.
Okay, so we're gonna do the pop back to big head mode and do the screen switcheroo.
Okay.
So let me do that. Bear with us, folks. Okay, now we're back in the big head mode thing. Can y'all say something real quick? Make sure the audio's still
Hello,
working?
hello.
Okay, we still got audio. And
Can I
now
just say
do-
before we segue fully that Israel Villalobos has like had some great comments all evening long, and my favorite one so far is model Chuck Norris's truck, that Ford Bronco. That was my dream car when I was a kiddo. That would be pretty bad to the bone if we
Okay.
could model that
Is-
Bronco that's in the hangar right now.
He said he likes the 1996 model. Yeah, honestly, Israel has had some really cool comments. I think he's been really interested in this whole stream. So shout out to you, man. I seriously appreciate the feedback. We've been stressing about this stream for a long time, hoping everything goes well. So I'm glad y'all are enjoying it. So we're ready to swap back into the challenge mode screen thing here. So let's
Can we ban Vesk for what he just typed?
show the gold left for the CGC. I think people might want to see the gold left for the CGC, so we can maybe show those off when we.
Vesk, do you want to see the? We're talking the normal one or the quad barrel here?
Whatever you think is best. But maybe if you want to grab that while we're back on the challenge screen, we're going to transition back into it. So we're going to be muted for a sec, but let me do that real quick. Okay, ready. Okay, it worked. All right, awesome. And we've got the Photoshop and the Blender up. So this was my main technical thing I was struggling with. So getting both of our screens, getting both of our screens up here, and everything is working. I am overjoyed. Fantastic. I think I've
made someone. I've probably made people upset when I said quad barrel.
Quad barrel left. Quad barrel golden left.
I blame Hyper-Turtle.
Up to you. Do you want to grab it and show it off real quick?
I'll pull it up real quick.
Is it with the gold texture on it? That thing? It's beautiful. I mean, it's obnoxious. It's hideous.
The gold was obnoxiously gold.
It's hideous, but so beautiful.
I love that.
Oh, you can actually see my HDRI in it because it's reflective.
That's awesome.
So you can see the image I'm using for lighting, but it's obnoxious amounts of gold.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. Oh my gosh, it's so
cool. I love it.
I regret making this on a person I actually personally regret making this.
It's feel a little gross.
I blame Hyper-Turtle entirely for this. I'm not proud of myself.
Didn't we make that? We made the gold left Discord server emote, didn't we?
Yeah, I gave it to Jambi. I did do some really obnoxious stuff to it, like it actually stay an obnoxious gold color when you actually scaled it down to as if I did it this way, right?
It wasn't all shiny.
It fades out, and it was you can't tell. So I had to make it I essentially added a bunch of planes around it, emitting very, very bright gold-ish light.
Well, you said it would make a good Christmas ornament.
Beyond, I mean, I wish I never made this, especially for the fact that it has 4 barrels on it. That's the worst part. Is that
it's so great. That's so.
I feel bad for people.
I don't care what anybody says. That's great.
I wasn't even lazy enough to fix the back, so I just kind of made it line up as nice as possible. So it's not overlapping, but I mean, I regret this immensely. I'm sorry.
I don't. I'm
for this creation.
I'm glad you showed it on stream. This is beautiful.
People don't like me now.
Just so we don't run out of time, and I want to make sure you have enough time to do this challenge. Commander, would you like to maybe introduce our challenge segment to the folks, just because we've been talking a lot and I don't want to talk over.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have an exhibition match between Domo and Firefox here. Domo's weapon of choice is going to be Photoshop, and Firefox, of course, is going to be Blender. Now the challenge at hand is to design a Christmas tree ornament. Is that right, Domo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and are there any parameters that you guys need to consider? Because I know that we were talking about a couple of different procedural materials, a couple of themes. I don't know if we decided to limit ourselves to those, or if, it's just Christmas tree ornament and go.
I think we should do just sky's the limit, Firefox, whatever you're comfortable with. I was wondering if you're up for it, man. Maybe we could take a suggestion for the tank from chat. Or if you'd like to, there's
Yeah,
a couple good
that's
ones that work
perfectly
well.
fine.
Okay, so
I didn't know what tank. The
for
only
sure.
thing that I don't think would work really well are things of like oscillating turrets. So like the Char, AMX 13105, those sort of turret shapes kind of get
I've
really
seen
funky
the
because
TOG
they're
is
not.
nominated by one person.
Voss nominated the Tog.
Voss.
Voss is just memeing and
TOG
dreaming.
by
But
two
see
people.
now he started the Tog train. So when he said
KV2.
121 KV2, Tog 121 KV2. Take your pick. We'll do
The Chinese 121.
not dealer's choice. The opposite of that. SU 100Y.
I'm gonna give Chad a couple minutes to kind of come up with
Okay.
options.
Okay.
So now,
Lots
Chad
of votes for the Tog.
talking about a couple of ideas. I see the IS7 and the SU100Y, ELC even 90. Keep them coming, Chad. These are great ideas. Can we talk a little bit about tonight's giveaway, Domo, and how that's going to work?
Yeah. So this is the only thing that I'm kind of shaky on with this whole challenge is that I guess basically we're just gonna do it and leave it up to chat to decide which one looks better. So a few things to keep in mind, right?
Well, who's getting the prize here?
Chat's getting the prize.
Okay.
So that's what I was gonna say. Keep in mind, voting for the guest is in your best interest. So unless like my Photoshop work is just like miles and miles above and beyond what Firefox comes up with, which I highly doubt, it's probably going to be in your best interest to vote for Firefox, if you care about a giveaway. That said, honor system, if you just really love my work, then I'd appreciate a vote of confidence, but you're probably going to want to vote for Firefox, because if Firefox wins, there's a giveaway.
So what are we giving away?
Tier 8 premium tank. I was thinking I was thinking play it safe and just do anything that's currently available for sale on the premium shop.
Okay.
I don't want to get in trouble with live ops, so I don't want to do any of the new fancy box tanks.
I really know which tank I want to give away, but it is a fancy box tank. So
Tragic, can you do me a favor and harass Cabbage or Llama and see if we can give away one of the tanks, or find out if we're limited by that, because that would be cool, but I don't think Tragic has a code. Okay, is it a code for a tier 8 tank?
that would be brand new to the game.
Voss says M60 code, exclamation point. It's not M60. So it's not
Ikabu has the M60 codes. PM him. That's what he told me to tell people.
Tragic has a code. I don't know what the code is for.
Something.
But there's presumably a tank included. So we're gonna do the code.
How do we know who that code will be going to?
We can do a giveaway through Azurus. It's a secret. Okay, it's a secret code.
But we know there's a code.
Okay,
so
yeah, and then Tragic can run a giveaway on Twitch. So once we do the giveaway, you guys are going to want to jump over to Twitch if you're not on Twitch. And then we can also, if you want to vote, jump on Twitch, because we can use Azurus to vote. And then Tragic will do the giveaway in chat.
So our lovely Facebook and YouTube viewers, that means come on over to Twitch if you want to get in on this giveaway.
So, have we had more suggestions for tanks? T54 mod 1, Scorpion.
I saw TS5.
Yeah.
It was quite a bit of KV2.
What about SU130 PM? I like that.
I don't know how well that would work because it's open top. I do like the KV2 though, because that's like
let's do KV2. It's iconic. It's like exactly.
It's a classic Will the Tanks tank. I don't have a model for it, so I will have to grab that real quick.
Okay, I gotta grab a picture
of
the KV2, so that works.
Everyone should have a KV2 on their Christmas tree this holiday season, and that is just what Domosapien and Firefox are going to deliver to us. Feel free to encourage them with your words in chat. Let them know if they're doing a good job. Let them know if you have any recommendations, like should they do a certain color for a certain element, more gloss, more shine, more sparkle.
Yeah, we can kind of talk through what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I just grabbed a KB2 image.
Oh, that looks great, Domo.
Of a Tamiya model. Yeah, but I'm gonna try to make it look more Christmassy. But what I'm planning to do is I'm gonna try to change the colors, and I don't know how well I'm gonna be able to pull off making it shiny, but I'll see if I can figure out a way to make it shiny. And
Yultar says to put 8 cannons on it.
8 cannons. Okay. I could do that. I think.
I
don't know about 8.
Don't think there's room for 8.
I could I will multiply the number of cannons. Let's do that.
And
that's a lot
wants
easier
more
for you
pink.
than it is
it?
for me.
Okay, so that's not gonna be I'll do it just for the memes, but that's not gonna be. You have to like not consider that for the voting portion, and then still keeping in mind that it's in your best interest to vote for Firefox.
I'm gonna request for a pink KV2 by 2 people.
Pink KV. I can do pink. I can do pink. I think. Let's see.
Alrighty. So let's see. It's 7:26. Let's do a time. Like let's check in about 10 minutes to see where we're at. If we're feeling like should we do a final 5 minutes after that? 10-minute will be the mark where we will assess where we're at and see if we're close to finishing. But you guys don't have more than 15 minutes on this, okay?
Okay.
I'm currently cleaning textures off this that shouldn't be there anymore.
Oh, it looks filthy. How embarrassing.
Because I ungoofed and copy pasted twice.
Put Christmas lights on it? Okay.
If it makes you feel any better, I have to cut this entire thing out of the background.
No pressure, guys. It's not like everyone's watching your every move.
So the annoying thing about for one of the annoying things for me about this lasso tool is that I will accidentally double click sometimes and it just closes it. So then I have to hold shift, which puts this little plus down, and basically the next shape that I draw with this lasso tool will add it to the overall selection. Like just now I messed up again and double clicked, but eventually once I draw the rest of these shapes, it should pick just the KV2. It doesn't need to be super clean, but cleaner the better.
You've got like a surge in steadiness right now, Domo.
I think respectfully, I disagree because see up here I already messed up twice. But luckily I have this nifty little shift modifier that lets me.
Oh, okay.
That lets me add stuff to my selection. Firefox, what you got going on over here?
Are you actually started?
Yeah.
No,
what do you think?
I'm still picking.
Firefox, come on.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean, I haven't done anything to the tank yet, but I'm in the process of cutting it out from the background. So,
I'm currently trying to figure out what is gonna work best color-wise.
Don't think too hard. It is Christmas, so gold, red, green, white, pink. But pink was
pink was a request. I'm doing pink.
It was a request,
but you don't have to do pink. Whatever's. Oh God, come on. How do I undo that? Whoops.
I'll figure out the tracks later.
That afterwards.
Does Control-Z work in Photoshop?
Yes. However, technically, I'm not done with my step. So it's not letting me do it because the whole action will take place once I'm done drawing the shape. And then I'll have to undo the whole action. An alternative to what you can do instead of using this polygonal lasso tool is there is a pen tool, and the pen tool lets you place down nodes and draw a path between those nodes. And it's what I'm working with right now is a raster image. So basically, it's a bunch of pixels arranged on a space of some kind. I messed that up. That's okay. I'll fix it. A space of some kind, whereas like a vector is what you create with this pen tool, and it's a shape that you can make like bigger or smaller without affecting like the fidelity of the image, because it's like, I don't know if it's procedural or what you would call it, but it's not they're not just like pixels that are painted on. Like MS Paint, if you've ever used MS Paint, like that's basically what you're doing, is you're putting down colored pixels. But you could make a vector, which is a little bit more robust, I guess. Vectors are generally what people use for logos and signs and stuff, because that stuff can be resized to whatever size you need it without making the image super blurry and gross looking.
Yeah. We don't want distorted logos over here.
No, it's gotta look proper.
And then Firefox, how you doing over there? I see you're working with all those nodes.
I'm just trying the Christmas ornament I'm looking at as like a reference. It's not like the straight. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like speckled glass almost, where it's like you can. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's not
Yeah,
like
like, kinda
a
like
single color. It has like a bunch of little spots in it.
I'm thinking of like an antiqued mirror or antiqued glass. Does that sound
Like
right?
just, I'm just trying to remember from like essentially Christmas ornaments from years ago.
I'm going plain and simple with mine, you know, solid color. We're gonna try to make it glossy somehow, which I haven't quite figured out yet.
Do the factoring.
Background. Canvas bigger.
Okay, we're 5 minutes in.
How much did you say we had? 10 minutes? 15 minutes?
I'm gonna check in 10 minutes.
Okay,
And then,
might
but I
need-
think 15 minutes would
might
be
need
a
15.
good max.
Well,
But you know, let's see where you're at.
Yeah, let's do that.
I guess you can't rush creativity. You can't rush perfection. So I understand if we need more time.
Yeah, on the
I
other
just
hand,
like to.
it is a challenge, so
Exactly. I
hear
like
you.
to light a little flame under those tokuses. See what we can
let's
do.
see. I got a ornament here that I can use as a reference. Can I get like an actual picture of it and not like a zoom in? Coles, okay. I'm not gonna use an ornament then, Coles. We're gonna use somebody else's.
If chat wants to give me a color,
Chat.
if chat gives me a color in hex code, I'll that works for me.
What's wrong with Pepto Pink?
Like if they just give me a hex code, I can just throw it in here. So chat wants to decide what color this KB2 is going to be.
Well, Pepto Pink hex color. I'm gonna look it up. See if someone's done this before. It looks like someone has searched for this before. Nadashiko Pink. Try F6ADC6.
Say that again.
F6ADC6.
That pink right there.
That's I googled Pepto Pink hex color code, and this is, I guess, Nadeshiko Pink, which is pretty close. It looks pretty Pepto to me. Oh, but there's a couple of codes in hex codes in chat too.
I'm gonna open a.
Do you want to try different
notepad.
ones? I have some options in chat.
I'm opening a notepad just so I can copy paste these easier.
Okay. Thank you, Breppus and Brock Grimes, for your suggestions. Okay. It's like it's more along. That looks fuchsia to me, like a little bit more or closer to fuchsia than pink, but
yeah, I might.
Who am I to say?
I might struggle with this recolor a little bit, to be honest, but see how it goes.
Do you need a hex code, Domo?
No, it's just it's less.
What I was trying to. This is what I was trying to explain with like the ornament texture. It looks really.
Okay.
But you can it up close. You're gonna tell, but you can see how it's not like at like the range, right? You can see how it's not perfectly glossy. It looks like older like glass ornaments. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
I see. E6. What is this?
This is already looking substantially better than mine.
I don't know what I'm doing. I like this man who is spelled badass with the hex code.
I just saw that too.
Yeah, that's like an ugly green though.
Okay, so I gotta figure
It's like it's a
out.
lime green, but
Diffuse it. I figure out. I don't know how I'm gonna make this more plasticky.
can I oversaturate this some? That's not the one I want.
Looks like bubblegum. Domo, I'm liking your like little capper for the ornament.
Oh
Good
yeah, I
touch.
gotta figure out how to slap it on there.
As far as the tracks go, I don't know what to do. I think
Like
this is the
as
pink. I think I'm gonna go with pink. This pink though.
okay, yeah.
Someone said pink. This save just. I don't know what to do because it's a plasticky texture or like more of a glass texture. I'm not gonna actually do glass for any of these because it's gonna take forever to simulate light through this much glass. What I plan to do.
We're 10 minutes in.
Okay. Oh man, yeah. We might need
Let's
to-
definitely do it. Let's do another 10 minutes for sure. I'm not gonna check back in 5. You guys are sweating. I mean I couldn't do this and I'm not doing it as you can see, chat. So it's a challenge.
I can just
But
go with like a plastic gray tracks. That works, honestly. I think.
yeah. I think that works.
There's like a pink.
So you both are going for like a more plastic toy vibe for the ornament than a glossy glass vibe for
I
the
can't
ornament.
think of a way to easily make it shiny without me like
Okay.
manually going in and drawing on the shiny parts, which I've always been bad at. I'm not good at like shading and understanding how light hits different surfaces. So yeah, this is just more kind of a
No, that's okay.
slapdash. But I got that Pepto pink though.
Look at you go, dog.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this in different HDRIs.
Ooh, you Firefox, yours looks kind of glittery now. I kind of like it.
Yeah, because low sample count and it's a much more colorful HDRI. The one I usually use is called which you can get all these HDRIs for free off. I think it's hdrhaven.com. A bunch of high quality HDRIs. The one I use personally is the 8K photo of Winter Lake. It's a very muted light as far as coloring goes, and it's full 360, so it's not going to be the best for every application, but for something like this, it works really well because it's a very even color
Okay.
where the sun's not setting off to the side or something. It's super obvious.
So it looks like Tragic. I assume Tragic is riding through World of Tanks NA. Domo, you can place a mask over it with a swatch, I think.
I'm not very good at masks. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was like I've been doing this since high school, and like I don't know what she means by that.
So that's shorthand for no, Tragic. We will not be doing that today.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to do that.
1.46.
There's metal swatches or go to FX.
Is that
Yeah,
under
so
filters? FX.
Let's
Okay,
chat
guys.
like this. This chat. Do you like this pink?
Do you like this pink, chat? What do you think? I heard a request to draw a shiny heart. I mean, not heard. I read a request from Uncle Leroy, draw a shiny heart on the side of the turret. I don't know if we're taking orders anymore. We've only got so much time left. We got a pink KV2 that's gonna be an ornament for a tree so far. Do we have time for more requests? Okay, maybe we'll accommodate that heart. Hello Kitty KV2. Yeah, it's turning out like that. Maybe a little less Pepto, a little bit more Hello Kitty.
Because where are my layers now?
Uncle Iro, not Leroy. My bad. Iro. My bad. You know, it is 7:40 on a Friday. And I do have a full-time job. And this is part of it. So excuse me for, mispronouncing
I'll
things
go
all the
for like
time.
slightly off purple
What am I doing
tracks, I
here
guess.
that I
I'm
can't
sorry.
paintbrush? Oh, I had like a pixel selected.
Rookie.
Okay, so I was talking about the pen tool. I can show you guys the pen tool real quick. So basically you draw points, then you can draw like a curve into the point. And the next point that I draw will take that curve into consideration. Shape. Here.
I already have
Half a
Christmas
heart.
tree.
Oh.
Oh, this is where the fun gets, because I have to. Alright, how badly does this break
Domo,
the tracks?
Firefox is stealing your thunder because he has an actual Christmas tree.
I'm working on it. I'll have a tree.
Okay. But I'm digging the heart. You're going above and beyond here.
I don't know if that's really to scale, but I just fill the path with my foreground color. And boom, there's the heart. I guess I can make that a little.
Shiny red heart. Or maybe just a red heart. Shiny might not be a thing we're doing today. Whoa.
Really
Firefox, that looks so cool.
hard.
Oh, the tracks though. Did the tracks disappear?
Yeah,
Yeah,
fill
because
the path.
How do I fix this? Will this actually
Gradient.
properly curve? Is the question. Or is this going to be scuffed on the edges? Let's find out.
I feel like this is like the Great British Bake Off, but
What is that?
not
Count?
baking.
The great
92?
North American tank off.
Tank off?
I guess.
Ay.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not super happy with this heart, but it'll do.
It's there. It counts.
Delete path. Make this bigger. There's a really
What Christmas?
crappy heart.
What KV2 do you know that doesn't have tracks? That's for chat.
Is there a KB2 with that?
Oh,
That's what I'm saying.
the stuff from Steel Hunter. They're just floating KV2 turrets, whatever they're called.
Oh.
Like the sentry guns, you know what I'm talking about? They're
yeah.
just floating KV2 turrets.
The
I
ones
found
that are
out
in
that
the.
I think they were called. What were they called? But they were just floating KV2 turrets.
Oh, I might be thinking of Murney, where they had the tanks that were
Oh
kind
yeah,
of in the
no,
ground.
yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Not Steel Hunter. I forgot what they were called. Is this too big?
Your heart fell off. Oh gosh, this is gonna be tough.
Don't go dropping my heart.
Haha.
I gotta make my canvas bigger. Okay, so I guess the problem with having it on a tree is that this giant tree and a little tank. Maybe it could be a tree top or not. Well,
I think that's placed well enough.
I think Firefox and Domo, you have a similar scale for the size of your ornament. Like it looks pretty similar in the trees. Wow, this is so much fun. I didn't know this was gonna happen. Firefox, this is looking cool.
And I can tweak. Desaturate a little.
One of the nice things about Photoshop is that if you ever have any weirdness where the textures don't really there's something you're trying to get rid of,
Operate.
you can kind of just copy paste stuff and then blur it so it's colors don't look too great. Oops, great right now, but I can just tool and kind of merge layers together quick, and then that, and like now you can't even tell that I slapped a bunch of boxes onto it. I guess aside from the fact that it's texture.
And for people that are curious, because a lot of stuff is free. I mean, this is just a random like free Christmas tree model that you need to literally just Google for and get, so anyone can use this, which is nice.
Pro tip right there. Firefox, I have to ask, do you have any intentions of putting a red heart or a shiny red heart on your tank?
I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that in time.
Okay.
Oh, and what I could do is make this little ornament bit kind of stick out behind the turret so that the features are covered up. It's funny, like I work with a lot of like the stuff that the like professional art people have made, and like I've repurposed assets before where I'll just like, it's like, okay, here's, let me just delete all this super complicated stuff that you guys did to this image, and then just change like a few colors and like delete something, and like, oh, it's a new asset. So it's funny how much of like asset creation involves just doing that, where you're just like taking an image and then just like making it look less real
Enhancing it.
or different.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's like a lot of like we'll have like the art pieces which like look like a painting almost, and then like you take off all the filter. Well, I just bumped my mic. You take off all the filters and effects, and then it's just like straight up just like a picture of something that somebody took. But like you do enough kind of wizardry to it to make it work. This.
Try to figure out a quick way to do a heart, but
Oh, I lost my heart.
Oh, I don't even have one, so you know, not much better off than me in this case.
Do a little emboss action right there. Make it. Yeah, there you go. Like a.
You know what,
like
I do feel like
freaking
you should go that extra mile and
open
make
bear
your
heart.
tree kind of like bend a little bit at the weight of this ornament.
Oh, that might be tough.
Because it's so big.
Oh,
look at that though.
maybe I can warp it somehow. I'm not sure.
No, I'm just teasing. Oh, Firefox is making a heart. So you guys have been working on this for 22 minutes. I'm pretty impressed because if time has flown by and I'm not even doing anything.
Did everybody leave, or is chat bored?
No, this is highly entertaining. Chat is here.
Okay, good.
Uncle Iro says one of y'all should say, "Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?"
There we go.
That was
Vex,
perfect. We couldn't have timed that better.
Vex, insert cricket sounds. Are you not entertained, Vex? Because I'm entertained. This is a good time.
Vex is not entertained. Oh.
Where did I put the KV? Oh wait, I hit it. That's right. All right.
Well, we still have some friends on YouTube and Facebook. Hello, Brian Piles. What's
Vex,
going on?
we can entertain ourselves by arguing about music later and roasting Firefox for listening to hardstyle.
That's not 292. What?
Yeah, I'm making a little chain here for my ornament.
Very nice. And I'm just catching up with chat. Good Fun Man and Palnor Bouclier reminded us that the Murney tanks were called mosquitoes. The ones that are sticking out. Yeah. Yep. That's right. All right, so for those of you that are just joining us, we're towards the tail end of tonight's stream, which is called Talkin Tanks. There wasn't any World of Tanks gameplay. It was all about just getting to know Firefox, who is doing some cool things with Blender, which is a 3D modeling rendering tool. And we are smack dab in the middle of an exhibition face-off between World of Tanks' very own Domosapien and, of course, Firefox. Domo is using Photoshop to fulfill this ornament request, and Firefox is using Blender. The tank in question is a KV2. It is a Pepto Pink KV2 with a shiny red heart, and they are both working on getting their hearts on and getting these ornaments now attached to Christmas trees. At the end of the challenge, we will do a vote to see what you guys all think. Oh, Domo, I see you. There's going to be multiple, it looks like there's going to be multiple ornaments on this tree. But at the end of the challenge, we need you. We need you to vote on the design that you think came out best. And we'll be doing a giveaway with a code that has a secret prize via Twitch chat. So if you are watching via Facebook or YouTube, make your way on over to Twitch to enter the giveaway. Again, it is a secret. We don't even know what's.
It's a code. It's a code for something from Tragic, but she wouldn't tell us what's in the code.
Yes, it's a code from Tragic.
The Tragic code. So
it's a Tragic code.
Send her all the M60 memes. Okay, that KV2 went a little extra. So I unfortunately I'm not really gonna be able to do the tree bending because
I was teasing.
In order to do that, I could do it, but so there's let me show you all this tool real quick. This is something where you see all the people trying to make themselves look more beautiful on Instagram. They use this quite a lot. It's the smudge tool, and basically it lets you. Photoshop has to catch up because it made it try to smudge a lot of pixels.
Oh, this is so weird. We've only having half my monitor to actually use.
Did I break it? Okay, I didn't break it. There it goes. All right, I made that smudge tool too big. So when you try to move a lot of pixels at once, it gets confused. But you warp it like that. So I could make the tree do that kind of thing, but it affects the whole background up here. So because of that, I would have to cut out the entire tree, and there's all these little teeny tiny fibers. That would be very rough.
I think because you've added more ornaments, now the tree will be well balanced, so there won't be
yeah, there you go.
Wait, what color does the heart have to be again?
Red. Shiny red. But red will do. Shiny red would put you over the top, though, I can tell you that much.
Because you need to make sure you do everything you can to get chat to vote for your tank so that they can get a giveaway.
Fun fact. Go get the. Never mind.
No,
I love a good giveaway.
We definitely don't want chat to win. That's not the goal here.
I love a giveaway.
Whoever wants chat to win.
Well, I mean, me too, you jerk. Says Firefox wins, so that means Firefox wins. I mean, that's all there is to it.
I guess it's already over, Demo.
Oh, well.
Oh, we're gonna have an Azarus poll so that you can actually do a proper vote. You could do it anonymously, so no one has to know, whose side you're on. So that the next time you join a stream, there's gonna be no hard feelings. That's good. Good job, Tragic. Thank you.
Where would we be without Tragic?
The screen would be black.
Oh yeah,
and
it would be off. Much worse.
We would sound like we were in a cave. It wouldn't be pretty.
Yeah, that's awfully optimistic because I just think there would be no stream up. BRB fixing the stream. That would be the stream.
Ooh, these are looking good. So guys, it's 7:54. Can we do a final 2 minutes and then we're gonna get into voting?
Yeah.
Perfect. You'll have until 7:56.
I don't know if this. I don't know if this red's gonna work.
Don't overthink it, my man. Don't overthink it. You got 2 minutes. 2 minutos. But how much do ornaments weigh? That's a good question, Gamby Bay. I don't know.
I think these are.
Oh, you like my sweater? Thank you.
These are styrofoam AV2s. Actually weigh a lot.
I mean, glass. Glass is pretty light.
Oh, Firefox, don't give me a run for your money right now.
I gotta, mine's not 3D, so I gotta be a little bit extra.
Domo extra?
Sometimes. When the occasion calls for it. Oh no.
Just for.
Ousty Pants goes 1 manual fire extinguisher. Oh, that tragic troll. I surely hope that's not gonna be what the giveaway is for.
If Tragic gives you a manual fire extinguisher, just make sure.
That would be pretty funny,
She would
though.
never do that. So.
She wouldn't, but it would also be really funny. One box of cola.
Okay, let's hope this cuts out.
This is where we have the complicated. They flip sides
Oh, guys,
again.
time's up. Time's up. Okay, I'm gonna give you 30-second countdown. So you got 30 seconds, and then I'll do 10, and you'll know that it's over.
Okay, this tree topper looks absolutely.
Oh, that's offset way too much.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mouse is down.
Hold on, let me just drop it. Just drop it.
No, not
okay,
allowed.
It's done. All right,
Okay,
I'm done.
okay.
I'm done. Hands are up.
Hands are up. Firefox, can you like zoom out so we can get the full effect of your image?
Here, we'll pop back to the big head mode,
Okay.
and then we'll switch the thing because I need to switch to the other scene to make his view full screen, but we can switch it to full screen so we can see his in its full glory.
Okay, so chat, you hear that? You're gonna see it in its full glory, both designs, and then you're going to vote via Azarus to see who the winner is. Firefox or Domo. As a reminder, if anyone just happens to be tuning in the last couple of minutes here, this is our Talkin Tanks stream where we're hanging out with Blender Guy, aka Firefox4312, who makes all sorts of cool designs with Blender, 3D modeling and rendering. We are in the middle of an exhibition challenge face-off between Domosapien and Firefox. Domo is on Photoshop and Firefox is using Blender. And the challenge was for a pink KV2 ornament with a shiny red heart on it.
All right, I'm
It's
swapping
time
back
to
now.
vote.
I'm swapping back now so y'all can see it.
Okay.
All right, there it is. That looks really good. That looks super. That was so much better than mine.
Okay, so first up for your consideration is Firefox. Will it blend?
Do you want to give us a little 360 there? Just show off your career. Oh wait, I guess moving it.
I can just zoom in.
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's
zoom
do
in.
that.
bit.
Moving it screws with the ray tracing, but I mean, I'll just zoom in on it
Yeah, it looks neat, man.
and let it.
And this was accomplished in 30 minutes.
60-year-old kid. The criteria is pretty looking. Whose looks the best? Which I guess.
Yes, whose looks the best?
We want to. I guess we'll pop back to mine real quick, or.
The heart was legitimately like, oh god, I just found a random SVG graphic and roughly filled it in, and kind of shrink wrapped it to the turret.
Yeah, the voting is via the Azarus extension. Okay, let me pop back real quick so y'all can see mine too.
Oh, there you go. It's done ray tracing and smoothing. So.
All right.
That
all right.
Firefox.
It's back up. There's mine. There's Firefox's. Vote for Firefox. I mean, vote for Domo.
Vote for Domo.
Okay, my vote is submitted. Firefox, I like how you were able to get like that metallic sort of effect on the gun and on some of the elements. Domo, I love the tree topper. I love that there are multiple ornaments on the tree. You both really did a great job executing on the color on the request. I love that there's a heart on both of your tanks. How do you vote? If you have the Azurus plugin and you're on Twitch, you're able to vote via the poll. But please, for anyone that's watching via any of our channels, vote in chat too. Let us know what you think.
So
Firefox wins.
the Azurus vote is done. You know, however, maybe
Okay.
there will be enough votes to turn the tides.
Oh,
Who won the
it's done.
challenge was the question. The answers were Domosapien, it's all Photoshop, question mark, always has been. And that had 22 votes, which is 32%. And then Firefox, will it blend, had 46 votes, which is 68%. And I don't think I saw enough Domos to turn the tides here. So with that said, congratulations to our winner, which I anticipated and hoped for this outcome because that looks so much better than mine. So that said, we're gonna do a giveaway. I see in chat Tragic is ready to get that started, so jump on over to Twitch, twitch.tv/worldoftanksna if you are not there already. And yeah, we're gonna get that giveaway started in just a second here, y'all.
So Firefox, you just won. Now what are you gonna do?
I don't know.
He's gonna make a sweet wallpaper with that render. Share it with us so we can share it with people.
Are you gonna go to Disney World?
with your fictional winnings? We'll make sure to get you something nice too. We'll for the trouble.
Disneyland, yeah.
Get you
Thanks.
something nice. I don't know about Disneyland,
Okay.
but you know, maybe a premium tank or something. We'll figure it out.
Breach block. These boys, they don't know. I'm too old for this. Do you get the reference? Well,
I'm sorry.
and then
I am getting old, but I'm also
You're
just
not
dumb when it
this
comes
old.
to references.
I think me and Domo are in the same boat that we just don't understand pop culture all that
Yeah.
much.
I'm dumb when it comes to that stuff.
So how many winners are we gonna have in chat? Is it just one?
I think just the one today.
Okay.
We'll
I'm just
let-
asking. I've never
we'll
been
let
around
the
for
tragic loss
tragic giveaway.
raptor to do the giveaway.
Okay, so while we're will we know the winner, and can we say the winner on the stream? Tragic, perhaps.
Don't know. I think so.
Well,
yes.
while we're figuring that out, I do have a question. I don't know if this is the final question, but maybe. Firefox, you had mentioned that you've been playing World of Tanks now for over 10 years. So if you could have one wish, what would it be? Like, and what I mean by that is like, if there is something about the game that you want to show up in the game, a feature, a tank, a massive change, what would that be?
And don't
what
say
would your
removing
wish be?
artillery because that's low hanging fruit.
And that's typical.
Get a little more creative than removing arty.
And I already know you like the EBR, so wheeled vehicles are probably safe. What are you thinking? Is there an event you would like to see?
Bring back Gold League. Like actual Gold League.
Rip Gold League. I miss Gold League.
Rip WGL, man. Bring it back.
Maybe one day.
Some
Maybe
people,
one day. Who knows?
The higher end would
write
be so happy
write
if the
those
BGL
letters
came back.
to Santa, y'all.
Mhm.
Maybe Santa can make something happen, or Krampus, or whoever you're gonna write your holiday letters to.
Yeah, and CC Ikaboo.
I wish I could make that happen. Fortunately, I do not. I'm not in charge of such competitive decisions, and I mean, full disclosure, I don't think Ikibu is in charge of those decisions either. But you should still send him your requests for M60 codes, and
For sure. He
will
can
be
definitely help
sure
with that.
to grant all of those requests post haste.
Yes.
You can quote me on that, but I will deny it. But yeah, like, dude, Firefox, that looks awesome. And like, especially considering you just grabbed a random Christmas tree model for free and slapped it on there, like, it looks like it's part of the composition.
Which one is
super cool.
As someone
that is
who didn't
a lot
compete,
of people entering the giveaway.
as someone who didn't compete and doesn't have skills in either of these programs, I salute you both. I applaud you both. I think you both did a wonderful job. I'm very impressed.
Whoa, Discord just did some weird stuff. I think this is about the time that my internet is dying.
It's like we're done, Domo.
I don't know why it is specifically at 8 my internet just decides to stop cooperating.
There, I gave it a floor domo.
Cool.
Someone's gotta put some boundaries around your day, Domo. You can't work until the wee hours of the night all the time.
Well, you know, this is working hard or hardly working, right?
True.
Is it still working? Tragic. Tell me if my internet sucks. Tragic is busy running that. Okay, cool.
Is this real life?
She said it's okay. So maybe that was just a random Discord hiccup because you're sounding less robotic now.
Okay.
Commander.
Okay.
The glitch in the programming.
Commander AF.
The glitch in the programming seems to have worked itself out. The Matrix is back.
There. I made a floor demo, so it's.
Oh, it looks so pretty.
Did you actually catch there was like a Matrix reference, blue pill, red pill, in one of the descriptions of the holiday ops decorations?
I didn't see that one. I did see some of the Star Wars references and the Rick and Morty reference, which was awesome.
Some good stuff in there.
I love the memes in the holiday ornament descriptions. There's always been some good ones. Tank and common. Tank and common, according to Nightbot, has won the giveaway. It's like Tutankhamun, but
Can you say that 3 times real fast, Tomo?
No.
Tank and common. Tank and common. Tank and common.
Tank. No, I'm not even gonna try. I'm sorry, y'all. But cool. Tank and common won the giveaway. Oh, he's got to be here to win though. So they gotta.
Oh.
Gotta reply. So we'll see. Maybe Tank and common is not here. I legitimately don't know what it is. So if Tragic wants to share, that's on her. It's a code. There you go. It's a code. Hopefully there's some good stuff in the code. You know, I kind of talked up the giveaway quite a bit. So don't make me look bad here, Tragic. I don't think Tank and Common's here. We might have to pick a different winner.
Tank and Common, are you here? You need to be here if you want this code. If you want this prize, you're technically the winner currently. But not for much longer, my friend.
He might be attending to his tank pyramid. And tankophagus.
Okay, you've got a little under 60 seconds to check in with us, Tank and Common. Please come to the customer support desk at the front of the grocery store. Like, what do they do when like a kid's lost at the grocery store?
Well,
like
the
your mom's looking for you.
Or if they find the kid, it's will the parents of so and so please come to the
yeah.
To the front of the store. I don't know. Yeah, that's funny.
The customer service center at the front of the store.
Yeah,
I think it's the other way around. Is if they can't find the kid, I think they just announce
15 seconds.
The kid's name and tell them to make their way to the front. If they can get.
All right, I think I agree with you, Gamby Bay. Rip, Tank and Common. We are re-rolling. Go for it, Tragic. Go.
Uncle Iro Ginseng has won the giveaway.
Oh, look at that.
Uncle Iro. See, you got that.
Iro.
That RNG was in your favor because you were helping us with tips during the challenge. You were giving us pointers.
Oh, he's here. He said I won.
He won. I know Uncle Ira's here. Uncle Ira's one of our regulars. He's awesome. Always hangs out with us on late night tank show and does tank mini games with us. He won the code, boss.
The code that we know nothing about.
I think Tragic. What do you think? Time to raid then. It is indeed time to raid. So all of that said, I would like to thank all of you profusely. I would like to thank Firefox, sorry, it's reversed in the camera. I always get confused. Firefox for joining us. We've been planning this for quite a while, and I'm glad we finally, had a chance to do it. I think it was really fun and informative. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Hopefully the 340 people across all 3 platforms is indicative of this being at least somewhat entertaining. That said,
does Firefox have any last words? Okay.
Firefox, do you have like a Twitter or like a portfolio or something you want us to plug? Because like, I was thinking
do not.
Hot Ones style on this show, like, this camera, 60 seconds. What you got going on? But by all means, y'all jump on the Discord. The World of Tanks NA Discord is discordapp.com/invite/watt-usa. If you go into the Creation Corner channel, you can search for Firefox, and he posted a ton of renders in there, so you can check out his stuff. And there's a bunch of creative, cool people in that channel, in that Discord. So join, hang out, ask people questions. Lots of informative folks to help you get started with kind of what we've been showing off today. I'm sorry I'm talking a lot. Y'all, take it away. Take it away. It is the 3 cups of coffee, I guess, are finally starting to work.
I think you did great. Firefox, do you have anything you want to say? Because if not, we can end it right here with a big old thank you for coming out to share a little bit about what it is you do outside of World of Tanks, and for that awesome pink ornament. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, it's very much appreciated.
Okay.
Don't really have anything.
No worries.
I mean, if people want to get into Blender, I mean, I think the website's blender.org, but I don't know if this if Tragic's gonna post links to anything like Blender really, because I gave you the the tank exporter utility.
Oh yeah.
So I'll leave that up to you. But yeah, it's blender.org, and you can just you can download current stable betas ahead of time, alphas ahead of time, extremely experimental branches that may or may not break. So and they have the wiki and all that there too. So but it's entirely free.
So I posted the link in chat there to the tank model exporter, so you guys can check that out. And I also wanted to say, if y'all have, this is to audience, if you guys have any suggestions, ideas for folks you'd like to see on the show, maybe you yourself have something interesting and Watt related to talk about, by all means, send us a DM, either on Discord or on the forums, what have you. Let us know. We would be more than happy to check out what you got going on, and hopefully have you come on as a guest. So I just wanted to make sure I extend that invitation to everyone. We would love to have you involved with our Tank podcast show thing. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say.
Yeah.
Any closing words from you two?
No, I think we loved having you, and we can't wait to do this again. So if it's time, why don't we get that raid on the road? Who are we raiding, Tragic? Is it a surprise? You might just have to stick around to see who. Damien's gaming. Alrighty.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. Happy holidays. Check out the Holiday Apps Hanger. Let's raid.
All right.
Hit that raid button.